Hi everyone. The video I'm making for you today is how to prepare for your child to have surgery. I want to let you know from the outset, this is based on what I lived when I was between 3 and 5 years old. When I was 2, the ball in my left hip joint collapsed. And in 1981, I underwent major hip joint reconstructive surgery. What I'm sharing with you today is something that I'm passionate about. I'm keen to help you the best that's possible. I don't have all the answers, but I do want to support you and your family the best that's possible from the journey I went through 30 years ago. Please feel free to leave any comments or questions you have below the video. I will endeavor to get you the best answers possible. I know this journey was really hard on my parents, and this is part of why I'm making this. I also want to personally support those who are endeavoring through the same steps I took as a child. So let's dive into the topic of how do I prepare my child to have surgery. The preparation for surgery for me as a child started at home. It started when my parents purchased a child's play kit of doctor's tools. I'm talking about tools that are commonly used in the hospital, so they would not surprise me or make me fearful of them. The kit that my parents purchased contained a stethoscope, an otoscope, a tongue depressor, a face mask, plastic needles, and a liquid medicine dispenser. It's not typical for children to be expected to swallow pills. Thus, the liquid medicine dispenser was invaluable. My grandmother also took part in preparing me for the surgery. I have a Curious George monkey. My grandmother was very skilled at sewing, and she made my Curious George monkey his own hospital gown. Then Grandma brought patches about 1 inch by 1 inch for me to sew onto the hospital gown. Now, of course, when you're a child, the stitches were maybe 2/5 or 3/5 of an inch long, but it helped me own the hospital gown and what I would be using for several weeks. My mother's bedtime story to me was often about hips and surgery, such as the storybook Curious George Goes to the Hospital. And I do think there's a great value in reading these types of stories to your child to help them prepare. You know, I just watched a documentary around 6 months ago for children who couldn't initially eat because there's something wrong with their body requiring surgical intervention when they were born. And they had a special clinic set up where they went on to play picnics, and they also had fake toys that they would feed the dollies, and it was all to get the kids prepared for the change that they were undergoing. So it's the same principle here, helping your child know that a hospital is a safe place and that they're going to be cared for and loved while in the hospital. I also want to share with you one of the very special memories I have from when I arrived home from the hospital. My dad brought in my pet rabbit to lay on my chest and for me to be able to pet it while I was in my body cast. I want to suggest to you that there's value of you doing the same. I want to suggest that you take your child to the pet store and let him or her choose some type of animal that they could pet during the recovery process. I'm talking about animals like a hamster, guinea pig, gerbil, rabbit, or a cat or dog. You know, a child doesn't have the vocabulary to express the emotional stress that they're experiencing. So I'm suggesting an animal that the child may pet as a tool for the child to cope as they go through their treatment. And I want to assure you that each of these things I've talked about helped me and helped make a difference in my life as I prepared for the surgery. There are things that you can do that will help your child have a good experience and be able to rest and feel relaxed so their body begins to recover. Things that I suggest you consider: bring your child's favorite blanket to the hospital for them to use on their hospital bed. There are iron-on labels that you can get to put the name onto the blanket. If you don't have the tool, maybe you could approach a local nursing home for what they use when seniors bring their possessions, such as clothing that's ironed on. It's really important that your child feels safe following the surgery. A tablet or portable DVD player can help provide entertainment to a child when they're awake. I have a hard time accepting hospitals charging for rental TV for the patient beds. If you're going through a situation where money is tight, perhaps a tablet, and bringing micro SD cards, small memory cards with videos on them to the hospital is an alternative way to help you save money. Also, some hospitals have a special fund set up to offset the cost of travel for parents when this is a big financial burden. So you should be asking the hospital what they're equipped to provide you with and suggestions they have. My mother purchased a rotary alarm clock. That's the type of alarm clock that has hands, and also a notebook. And she drew pictures of the time that she would be back to visit me at. In this notebook, she made happy faces out of the clock. So teaching your child how to read an analog clock is a skill that you could give them if they're old enough before going to the hospital to help them know when you will be back. I also have happy memories of my mother sleeping in the room with me. And this is another question to be asking your hospital if they're set up for you to spend the night with your child. These are some of the things that I thought of that would help you and your family during the 3 to 4 days maybe that your child would be an inpatient. I understand there's some people that are going to be in there longer, and it's going to become a marathon journey. This is what I was thinking to help with the short term. Ward nurses and PSWs will help you if you ask for it, and how you can enhance your child's stay in hospital. When a child goes to have surgery, it's not meant to be a one-man show. There's a whole team responsible for your child's stay in hospital. And it's not hard to identify employees who are going above and beyond and who could gratefully help you with your child's stay in the hospital. While your child is an inpatient, you need to also be getting your home ready for the recovery that will be taking place. When you have the pre-surgery assessment, you can be asking the hospital what is needed to make your home ready for the child to be coming back into your care, and when you're responsible for their recovery and convalescence. I want to go through some ideas that I have for you. Some of these have been contributed by very caring people, mothers and fathers of parents who have a child that had the same hip disease as me. Let's go through these ideas right now together. The first one is purchasing a dry shampoo. It's going to be a lot easier on your child if initially he or she could wash their hair using a dry shampoo instead of having to go to the sink, tub, or shower. The next is to get their bowel movements back on track. Purchase some type of stool softener to help post-surgery encourage regular bowel movements. In addition to this medicine, also be feeding a high-fiber diet to your child so that they do not become constipated. As an adult, when I had my hip surgeries, the first bowel movement felt like I was going to die because of the pain. and it may not be your child's hip that's being operated on, but I would like to articulate to you the sheer importance of this in helping your child's body start up again. The next task is to be modifying clothing for your child to wear if they're going to arrive home with a cast. So for the lower half of the body, you can purchase extra wide jogging pants that use snaps down the side as clothing. These will fit well around a body cast. For underwear, buy large, wide underwear and then use Velcro to close them. So what you're trying to emulate is the same idea as a child or an infant's diapers, but instead using Velcro so these can be reused. You need to prepare several pair of these. As well, if your child is going to be resting on the sofa, it would be worthwhile getting some type of plastic protection, the same as what's used on a hospital bed in case the child has an uncontrolled bladder or bowel movement, so it doesn't wreck your sofa. A beanbag chair can be custom fit and support your child depending on where and how their surgery was performed. Your surgeon and your hospital's occupational therapist can guide you in how you would design a chair and design the beanbag to support your child in the best way. And I personally would be drawing diagrams of this so that all the wealth of information that they're trying to give you doesn't start getting lost with new information, and also just the stress of having your child have surgery. An over-the-bed table would let your child both eat in bed and also be a child by doing things like creating structures with Lego, eating their meals, playing with toys, coloring pictures, watching videos on a tablet or laptop computer, even writing a letter to a grandparent or a close friend. If money is tight, either a second-hand store, maybe a church, or a community fundraising project could help you with the purchase of a over-the-bed table. There may even be someone in your life who is handy and could make one out of wood. They really aren't that hard to make. You just need 5 to 6 hours to create it, as well as the right power tools. I want to tell you that this is important. It's important for the child to be able to cope with their recovery. Drawing is an excellent outlet. Playing with dinky cars is what a child might be doing. Or if it's a girl, it could be dollies. You could even buy beads so that your child is doing what they normally would, it happens to be sitting up on the sofa. As a parent, you need to monitor your child for the for the sleep that they need, so they don't become over emotionally drained during the recovery. When I was young, we used to watch Price is Right with Bob Barker on TV. It passed an hour. There's a point when a child first comes home from surgery that they need something to do but not require a lot of energy. And so the use of videos can become very helpful, but this can't become complete babysitting. It's important for your child to feel your presence. And I know it's very emotionally straining to go through this. Perhaps there are others in the community that could give you some respite time, so you can just go out for yourself for an hour to be rejuvenated and take care of yourself. So these are the suggestions I have about helping prepare the home for your child. This is a very important phase for your child to go through. As an adult, I underwent 5 orthopedic surgeries between 2007 and 2015. There's been challenges with each of the recoveries, and it helped me a great deal to build relationships with the surgeon's administrative assistant. I want to suggest to you that you make the effort to meet the person, just have a brief howdy-doody and get to know them enough so when you call and there's concerns, they can help you either put your mind at ease or call you back with an answer from the surgeon. That relationship is invaluable. It's also the same for the family doctor. After each of my surgeries, my family doctor became responsible for my day-to-day care and life. My family doctor and I have a really good relationship. You need to ask your doctor when he would like you to bring your child to his office for the first visit once you're discharged from hospital. What I typically did was the second or third day after I came home, I went to have a visit with my doctor and talked to him about what was needed for my care, as well as to get prescriptions for the blood work that was needed to be done at a clinic and any other initial concerns that I had. Have a heart-to-heart conversation with your family doctor. Maybe you could be the last patient as the day, so you could spend a few extra minutes with your doctor preparing and letting him speak into your life and giving you suggestions. So you would bring a list of questions and also be asking open-ended questions like, do you have advice for me, or what do I need to do to help my child when they first come home from surgery. The pain control following a surgery causes constipation. Make sure your child has a high fiber diet. If you need help planning meals, the hospital dietitian will work with you, but you need to speak up and say that you need this help. They are there. There's nothing wrong in asking for this help. I've needed special attention myself while in the hospital. These people are great at the hands-on and the very practical day-to-day life you're entering. Buying a package of bendy straws and drinking with the straw will make it easier for your child when they're laying down in bed or on the sofa. Water is needed in the body to process food. It's also needed for a high fiber diet. So working out what your child can drink with some ideas from the hospital of what are good options to be drinking is an absolute must. You don't want to cause your child to become constipated because of a high fiber diet without having the liquids for the food to be processed in their body. My parents bought a wagon so when I was ready to leave the house, they could take me out into the community, for example, to the park, and then when I was ready, going back and forth from school. It's important that your child not be stuck in the house and has some type of normalcy during the healing. So the wagon made up for being in a body cast. Even if it wasn't hips that were being operated on, the idea that a child could be moved would save their energy for playing. Your child may not be needing all kinds of activities, so you need to gauge your child for when they're showing signs of being tired. Don't be particularly alarmed if they really tire out quickly on the first and the second outing. I certainly did after my surgeries. There's the option of using Wii games for physiotherapy. If your finances are tight, this is another item that a church or a community fundraiser could help you buy, and then some games depending on what the need is to help your child with the recovery in a fun way. So an occupational therapist, a physiotherapist, or a children's hospital surgeon would be really helpful at making suggestions for games that a child could be playing that would double as physiotherapy. And it's not just their body part that was operated on that needs the therapy. It's to keep their body sharp and active, as well as their mind to be active, such as if they're playing a game of tennis on a PlayStation or a Wii. Be creative, and even asking your child to raise their hands or doing exercises with them can be helpful. It could even be a family activity where grandparents come over who also need to be doing this for themselves, so the child has someone with them while they're exercising and trying to be healthy again. My mother arranged for the local school board to provide a tutor 3 hours a week, so I would be staying on track with my other classmates. Available on the internet are printable flashcards to help learn math and vocabulary. There are also a variety of printable exercises that you could use with your child. This is very subjective to where they are at in school when they need the surgery and how much time they will be off school for. You could plug into homeschool families and have them give you some suggestions for your child. You know, a sickness doesn't pay attention to the time of year. It just happens, and you're left responding to the situation. Give some careful thought to what their educational needs are. Perhaps contacting the school, even if their surgery was in the summer, you could begin by helping the child with what material they would be learning in the fall and building it as like a classroom activity to help them through this, and so their grades don't suffer. I'm grateful my mother did this. When I had my surgery, I was 5 years old, and so it wasn't that I needed a lot of tutoring to stay on top. Do your best to work with your child's teacher and principal to work out what they would need to be doing to manage your child's education during the sickness. And it may be stressful, but I know you can get through it. You just break it down into a day at a time. Consider allowing the hospital chaplain to be a source of support for you and your family. I've undergone 5 orthopedic surgeries as an adult, and the hospital chaplain has been a wonderful source of support and willing to listen without judging. Even if you don't have a religion, I still want to suggest you consider the hospital chaplain if your family is really struggling. You know, they're there and used to dealing with the families in crisis, in families where a child's having an operation. And they're there to willingly support and encourage families during that time of their life. I've only had positive experiences with a hospital chaplain. They all have their different flavors and presentation. I have clicked with some better than others, but in any case, the hospital chaplain have always been good to me, and I trust that they would be a help to you during the stress that follows a child having a surgery. When you're finding the journey your child is having and is on challenging, set a time to have coffee with a friend. And use this as an opportunity to share your frustrations and receive support. It's not just your child that's on the journey. It's the whole family. The things you're going to be concerned about are different than what a child may be. So having some time with a friend or family member is extremely important to help you cope through this season in your family's life. When needed, is there a sibling, a parent of yours, or close family you could call on to allow some time away from being the primary caregiver to your child. Taking care of yourself will also help you caring for your child's special set of needs as they recover from surgery. And I can't underline how important this really is. If you have a sharp mind, you're equipped to deal with the needs of your child. You will need downtime. If you don't take it, you'll become very drained and emotionally spent. There are always people in the community who are willing to help, but you're needing to step up and express that you need help to get this in place. There's going to be time when people come to you wanting to help but not knowing how. Consider having them prepare some meals for your family, even frozen meals that you could just warm up, not having to do dishes for a night, or the meal preparation would be a nice little oasis during what is a several month ordeal. But again, it's important to speak up that you're needing help. And if nothing else, having someone prepare meals for you is a wonderful way of support and encouragement during a long ordeal. I believe in God, and there comes a time when you can't control and have control, and you've done what you can have control over, and just need to trust Him to watch over you and your family. I'm not wanting to push religion on you, but I'm just wanting to tell you from my experience that this has helped. So these are the ideas I have for support that you can turn to during the whole ordeal. There are a few additional ideas I want to give to you for you to consider if any of these will apply to and enrich your situation. Give your child something to collect during each milestone of their recovery. This could be a bracelet, this could be a figurine, maybe it's a dinky car. But your child's personality and what their interests are will help you focus on what this might be and help to keep them engaged in the process and not feeling a lot of emotional stress. I'd like to suggest to you that you consider requesting a copy of your child's operating room report and storing this in your safety deposit box. This may be something your child may want to know and have reference to for possible future treatment as an adult. And more importantly, a doctor could use this document to explain to your child what was done to them during adolescence, when their mind has the ability to comprehend surgery and treatment. Certainly, this is something that I regret my parents having had not done for me, and it would have helped fill in the blanks for when I started needing treatment as an adult. I finally want to leave you with the thought that children are resilient. And this may be harder on you than it is for the child going through it. I really believe this. Children have a love of life that's innocent. You should know your child and be able to gauge how they're coping. If you need a social worker to help you through this, there's nothing wrong with it. Your goal in asking for a social worker would be basically saying that you want the best for your child, and they may be better equipped to support if your child is showing emotional stress, or you're just needing someone to talk to and bounce ideas off yourself. Your family doctor will most definitely help you and help you make the determination if a social worker is needed. I want to thank you for this time together today. I know this isn't an easy topic to discuss. Thank you for this time that we've spent together. Bye for now.